On today's episode of Empowering Women in Real Estate, the podcast, we're going to be talking about my email management system.
Hi, I'm Karen Cooper, a wife, mom of three, real estate broker, team owner, and founder of Empowering Women in Real Estate. As a realtor, I've personally helped well over 700 families in my career, and now I help thousands of women from all across the country balance real life and real estate through daily inspiration, motivation, and actionable plans to increase their success. Listen in as I share stories and tips from my life and business and interview some of my favorite people.
Hi there. How are you today? I hope you are having a great day. I'm glad you're here. I always appreciate when you take time to come and listen. You know, a time, and we're talking about email today, which is something that sucks up a lot of our time. Time is like such a precious commodity, and we all have a very limited quantity of it. And so I am always really grateful when you are here and take time to listen to the podcast and provide your feedback. I really appreciate that. If you have never given a review for the podcast, I would be so grateful for that. Whatever platform it is, Apple Podcasts is a big one. Wherever you listen to your podcast, I would be really, really, really grateful for that. You know, last month in October, we did a systems series, and it was all about the systems that you need for your real estate business: nurturing, prospecting, protecting your peace, visibility, all of those things. And we got such great feedback on those episodes that I thought, I was thinking about what are some of the other systems that I use in my business that might be helpful to you. So that is what prompted today's episode, and it is all about my email management system. And, I think for a lot of us, email can be like the bane of your existence. I don't know about you, but I get so many emails. I sometimes get hundreds of emails a day, and it is a lot. And one of the problems is that if you don't stay on top of it, like if you don't have a system to manage it, one, you can lose important emails, you can miss important things. And then two, like your inbox just becomes so overwhelming and so just cluttered and clogged that like you can't catch up. I know people, have you ever seen people sharing on social media about, how many, like the notification on their email app on their phone, and, people having like 10,000 unread emails, like craziness. I don't do that. I can't do that. That does not resonate with me. I always strive for inbox zero. And I know that sounds crazy, and I know that sounds aggressive, but I feel like the way I do it is not that bad. Because while I do call it inbox zero, it's more like everything is like, I'm trying to like come up with a clever name for it, but like everything is sorted. It's just not necessarily responded to or acted on immediately. So let me just walk you through some of the different components of my email system that really helps me when I stay on top of this. And, just like with anything else, I am probably, about 80% is what I strive for. If I can do this 80% of the time, then I know that I am doing good. And, things are manageable. My email is clean. Everything is, I'm not missing important things. Things are good. But of course, there's always going to be exceptions. But so first of all, how do I do my email? So first, obviously, probably like you, I have multiple different email addresses. I actually have 2 business email addresses because I have multiple businesses. So I have one that is for my real estate team, and that is, what I use with my team. It's what I use with my clients, with my real estate sales. I have that. Then I have another email address that is specific for empowering women in real estate. So when I'm communicating with, our inner circle, emails with, we have emails for all sorts of different things related to our conferences, events, all kinds of things. That is the Empowering Women in Real Estate email. I have actually a couple of personal emails but there's only one that I actually check, or I shouldn't say that. There's actually, I think, two, but really it's just one. So I'll explain that in a second. And so for me, what makes sense is that all of these emails go into the same inbox. I do not have time to check multiple different inboxes. I have 3 different emails, my primary personal one, my Empowering Women one, and my Platinum Group Real Estate one. And all 3 of those feed into one box. Now I'm an Apple person, so I have an iPhone, I use a Mac, I have an iPad. So I'm able to have all of those emails, even though they're all like Gmail, well, one's an Outlook, but the other ones are like Gmail backends. I can access them all through my Mac Mail. And so I have it on all my devices. So whether I update an email on my phone, on my iPad, on my computer, like I can see it all in one place. And so that, for me, that is very helpful. So that's probably the first bit of advice that I would give you when it comes to managing your email. I think mingling them and having them in one box, so you're not having to bounce and check place to place to place to place. To me, that makes a whole lot more sense. Because I'm a Mac person, they give you an iCloud email, and I don't really use it, but I do have it set up to forward to my personal Gmail, because every now and then I will, you know how sometimes when you sign up for things and like you have to have, like if you need more than one email address, like especially if I'm managing something for one of my kids, I'll use it sometimes for that. So that email is forwarded to my my personal Gmail address. But otherwise, it's just those 3 emails that are in that email box. Here's one other tip that I have for you. Many years ago, and I don't even know how many, this could be 10 years ago, I'm overwhelmed, and you might feel this way too, by bills and paying bills. And, every account you have, right? Car payments, credit cards, electric bill, whatever. As soon as you sign up, as soon as you get whatever your online portal is, which we all have and use to pay our bills and whatever, then they start sending you marketing emails. And then it's just a constant influx of emails that I then have to unsubscribe from, or I don't want. So something I did, which was a great thing that I did so long ago, is I set up a separate personal Gmail account that is specifically for bills. And so when I set up those accounts for whatever it is, mortgage, car payment, credit card, whatever, I use that email address. I never check that box. Ever. I shouldn't say never, because every now and then, you know how every now and then you log into your account and it wants to do like an authentication, and so it'll email you a code. That is the only time that I go to that inbox, is to get that code. And the only stuff that's in there is all junk. I figure if it's important enough that it's something that's actually real, they're going to mail it to me, and I've never missed anything important yet. So just one little tidbit for you on that. So how do I do this? How do I manage all of these emails? So here's what I have come up with, and I've used this system for many years, and it works really well for me, especially because I have multiple areas in my life. And so I have in my mail, and if you use Gmail, I think you can do this too, but in my Mac Mail, I can flag emails. And I can color code them. And I don't even know, there's like 4 colors, 4 flags that I really like pay attention to. There's more than that. I think there's like 6 or 7 that you can access, but there's really primarily 4 categories, because I get really 4 primary categories of emails. And so every time, and each color corresponds to a different category. And because, if you've heard me talk about my schedule and the way that I kind of manage my life, each of those businesses, my proactive time in each of those businesses has a day of the week, right? Monday is prospecting. Monday is my personal real estate sales generation. And so sales is gray, right? Which stands for also platinum. My team is called platinum. My real estate sales is platinum. So that is gray. So any emails that have to do with my sales business, I flag it with gray. And I address those on Monday because Monday is when I do sales. Tuesday is team. Tuesday tends to be, we have a team meeting, we have a team training, we have a mastermind session. I'm usually doing proactive team things on Tuesdays. So team is green. Green is for money, right? So green is everything that has to do with my team, I flag it with green. Thursday is my Empowering Women in Real Estate day. So anytime I need to do anything that is proactive for empowering women in real estate, I tend to do that on Thursdays. Those are purple. I flag those emails purple. And then personal, which I often, Friday, I do a finance Friday. Those are yellow. So here's what I do. When emails come into my box and I'm checking my email, now obviously I try to, if I can do a quick response or it's something that is very time sensitive, I'm responding immediately. Like I'm not flagging it and then going back to it. But when you get emails, they tend to be in like 3 different categories is what I find. One is junk. It's trash. You don't need it. You can just delete it. We'll talk about what to do with those in a second.
6 years ago, when I began shifting away from serving clients myself, but still producing a high level of volume and income, I wish there had been a model or a blueprint to follow. And that's why I've created the Midlife Real Estate Blueprint. It's the next step for experienced women in real estate who want to keep the income and change the way they work. Inside this program, you'll redesign your role, install simple, repeatable systems, and create margin for what matters to you while staying highly productive. We have 2 programs now available, a 5-week live program with coaching and community, or a self-paced edition that you can start anytime. When you're ready, visit empoweringwomeninrealestate.com and click on Midlife Real Estate Blueprint.
The other one is like actionable quickly, right? It needs a prompt response. It needs, I need to respond to it relatively quickly. You have that. Then you have ones that are, maybe it's not a fast response, or maybe sometimes like if I have a lead that's emailed to me, obviously that's a quick response. I'm going to quickly respond to that. But then I have multiple other things that I need to do around that lead, right? I need to make sure that they're entered into my database. I need to log the referral or whatever it is. I'm going to pass it out to one of my team members, so I need to log that. Maybe I'm going to send them a note. Like there's different things I need to do. I'm not going to do all of those things when I'm sending the email. I'm going to do those things on my prospecting day, right? Which is Monday. So I'll respond to the email quickly, do whatever introduction has to happen, and then I flag it with gray because that's my color for sales, and then I will address it on Monday. And so that's how I use this system to help me to, I'll delete anything I can possibly delete or unsubscribe. Of course, if it's something that can be delegated or somebody on my support team or somebody else can handle it, then I'm going to forward it and get rid of it and delete it. But then otherwise, I'm going to flag it. And then those flags are going to prompt when I'm going to be responding to those messages. So what this does is it actually allows me to keep my inbox really clean because there is a filter feature on my inbox where I can filter out the flagged emails. And so therefore it shows up in my inbox as 0, or literally right now as I'm talking to you, I just hit the filter button and there's 2 new emails that have come into my box that have not been flagged. And so and both of them I can see are junk. So once I delete them, then they're gone and my inbox is 0. And then the way MacMail works is there's a flagged section and I can see how many emails are assigned to each color. And then I can just, on whatever day, whenever I'm doing those email flags, then I will address those emails. And I can just click on it and it's going to show me only the emails that are in that category, right? I'm only going to get the sales emails. I'm only going to get the team emails. I'm only going to get the personal emails. And so it just helps me to be more organized and to have more control over my inbox. I'm not constantly like scrolling through, looking for something. I mean, email can be so stressful. Here's the other thing that I will say to you is you want to ruthlessly unsubscribe. I am a pretty ruthless unsubscriber. There are maybe only a handful of businesses that I get their marketing and I want to get their marketing emails because, I'm not going into the store regularly, or maybe these are online stores. I'm not paying attention to social media. I want to see what they're coming out with. I want to see what they have. So I will keep those. But everything else, I unsubscribe. And so this is why, if you've ever heard me talk about email marketing, this is why I don't look at who unsubscribes from my emails that I send out, because I know that some people, I don't want to take it personally. And I know that some people are just not email people, and it's okay. I get it, because I understand, because my email is the bane of my existence. And so I'm not going to look, I'm not going to get offended. So when you ruthlessly unsubscribe, when you get those emails, and I am guilty of this sometimes, where I'll just delete because it's faster to just delete than to take the extra time to go through and delete it. And, you have to click the thing and follow the link and whatever to unsubscribe. But just unsubscribe as much as you can and as often as you can. Here's the other thing that I have started doing. There is so much spam email, and I'm sure you get this too. And it is exhausting. And sometimes they make it so hard to unsubscribe, or they don't even have an unsubscribe in their email, and they're supposed to, but they don't have an unsubscribe. So you know what I've started doing? I started blocking the sender, and it works. So all you have to do in Mac Mail, when I just click on the email address of the sender, there is an option to block that contact. And so that's what I do. If they don't have options for me to unsubscribe, if they don't have, if I unsubscribe and they continue sending me emails, then I block the sender. And, that's just kind of what you have to do. A couple other things in terms of how I manage this, right? So my emails come in. If I can delete it immediately, I delete it. If I can do it immediately, or it needs to be immediately done, I do it. I respond, or I delegate. I send it to somebody. If it's something that I need to address later, maybe it's something I need to log. I get that with a lot of personal ones, something for the kids I need to file or whatever. Then I flag it. And I come back to it on the day that is specific for those emails, right? So Monday will be sales. Tuesday is my team, Thursday is empowering women, and then Friday is personal. But then when do you check your email? And, I am guilty of this sometimes too. When I am procrastinating and I'm trying to avoid doing the work that I know I need to do, the work that really moves the needle in my business, but sometimes requires more thought and energy, then I will be obsessively checking email. Have you ever found yourself doing this? Every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, you're checking your email. There is no worse way to waste your time than obsessively checking email. If something that somebody is emailing you is so incredibly urgent or important, they'll call you. They can pick up the phone and call you if you don't see it right away, or, if a couple hours go by. I really do try, when I'm doing this at my best, which is only about 80% of the time, but when I'm doing this at my best, I'm only checking email a few times a day. So first thing in the morning, it is part of my morning routine. And I know everybody says don't check your email first thing in the morning, but it really works for me, partly because of this flagging system, but also because I tend to, I get a lot of junk overnight. And so it's just very easy for me to just very quickly delete. I'm not doing responses in the morning, but just quickly delete the junk and then flag what's there so that I can address it. So I will do that first thing in the morning. And then when I get to my desk, when I get to my desk to start my work day, then I will obviously check my email then. And then usually when I take a break for lunch, or if I have an afternoon coffee break, then I will check my email then. And then at the end of the day, I will check my email then. And then usually at some point in the evening, I will also check my email from my phone, just for that same, and I know it's not the best habit, but it's just knowing my email is not clogged up with a lot of junk brings me a lot of peace. So if I can take, less than 5 minutes to quickly see what's there, delete anything that's junk, and then flag anything that I need to address, well, that just works really well for me. So there's that. Let's talk about vacation. And if you are familiar with my vacation system, so, I have been a big proponent of this for, 2 decades. I have been perfecting my how to vacation in real estate process because you can do it, and I started this, I really kind of made this a system when I had my very first family vacation ever, when I was in real estate, completely ruined because of a client. And it's not the client's fault, it's my fault because I allowed it and I didn't have a system. And so ever since then, I've just been continuously improving on what I do. And I will never forget, there was one, and when I take a vacation, I'm pretty much unplugged. Like I unplug as much as I can, except for what I'm going to describe to you right now. And there actually, by the way, I've done podcast episodes all about how to vacation in real estate. There is even, I took a free course that I did. It was actually a paid course that I created that people paid to participate in many years ago that I have now put on YouTube, on the Empowering Women in Real Estate YouTube channel. So it's there for free. It's all about how to do this, but in even more detail. So go check that out if you are interested. But I went on vacation and I came back and I had over 1,000 unread emails in my inbox. And so my first day back from vacation, I've literally spent an entire day just going through email. And I realized that I could not do that again, that there was a better way. And so here is my better way. I have a folder that is set up in my email that's called To Do After Vacation. And so when emails come in, I don't do my flagging process when I'm on vacation. When I'm on vacation, I do the same thing. I spend a few minutes in the morning and I will delete the junk. I will, forward, delegate anything that can be, but anything that I need to address or follow up on or check on when I'm back, I don't flag. I just move it into my To Do After Vacation folder. And so that way it's out of my inbox. I'm not constantly seeing it, but it's out of my inbox and it's there. And then that is one of the first things that I do. My first day back in the office from vacation is I open that To Do After Vacation inbox, and then I will do the sorting with the flags or, delete, record, or do whatever I need to do. That has made a huge difference for me in terms of not feeling so overwhelmed when I come back from vacation, and also just allowing me to rest and enjoy vacation because I'm not going to be completely overwhelmed and overloaded by, tons and tons of emails in my inbox. So that is my email management system. And, whatever your system looks like, maybe this doesn't resonate with you, but I would encourage you to find a system that does resonate with you. Email, like it or not, is a big part of our business, and it's a big part of what we do. And we get inundated constantly with emails. And so you need to have some kind of a system for how you're going to process them so that you're not overwhelmed. You don't want to be, trust me, you don't want to be that woman who's got hundreds and thousands of unread emails in your inbox. Your piece is too important. So you can have a system that can allow you to keep it managed and to keep it manageable so you're not missing important things, and it's also not dominating your life. So I would love to hear what you think about this episode, what you think about my system. I'd love to know what your system is. Come in and message me on Instagram. I'm at karen.w.cooper. And until next time, stay well.
Thank you for listening to Empowering Women in Real Estate, the podcast. Click subscribe to be notified every Wednesday when our latest episode is released, and be sure to check out our group on Facebook.